Have you ever had your worst book of the year be your favourite trope? Because I have. G'day folks, Wren here, and I want to talk about paranormal investigations. So one of my favourite tropes in books, movies, TV shows, what have you, is paranormal investigations. I think they're just so fun. I love having all the gear, the EMF reader, the recordings of the voices, catching things on camera, people feeling different things, and I love the hunt for a ghost, going into a scary place, trying to get all this information and then being scared because there's a ghost. So I always say that this is one of my favourite tropes, and it is, without a doubt it is. I love ghost hunting TV shows, even though some of them are, you know, like they put on a show. But like, that's fine by me. I have a good time watching them. They're fun. I love the Conjuring movies. I love the Paranormal Activity movies. I love ghost hunting or paranormal investigation, what have you. And so trying to find books that have this trope in it, and this trope done well, is surprisingly difficult. There aren't too many, but I have read a few in my lifetime. And the reason I want to talk about this now is because for my May TBR gate, I actually read 2 paranormal investigation books for the same prompt. I had a hive ship, so I had to read 2 books to fill 1 prompt, and they both ended up being paranormal investigation books. Now those books were Episode 13 and Horror Hotel. I read both of them, and so now I want to talk about what I like in paranormal investigations and what I don't. And spoiler alert, one of those books I read is going to be on my worst of the year list. Honestly, I really just wanted to have a rant video without like it singularly being a rant video. So here we are. So one of my favourite paranormal books of all time is Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendall Blake. This was so creepy in like the best way. Like for a YA, this was spooky. So this is about a boy that is a psychic. He can see dead. He's also part a witch, or his mother is a witch, and he takes on a lot of those things. He has a particular blade that he helps to deal with the dead people, and he goes around to different schools because, you know, he's still a teenager, but he goes to those towns, goes to a school just so he can investigate some of the dead. And we follow him as he is on this mission to get rid of Anna Dressed in Blood. That is the name that the townsfolk have given her. She haunts a particular house, and it's like the spookiest house in the town. Teens go there for typical teen shenanigans, and he's there to stop it. He doesn't really care about like having friends or anything, making any attachments. He's there to do a job, and he does the job very well. So in this, you get a lot of Anna haunting this house and the stuff she does to some people. Like, go Anna. You rip those people to shreds. It's great. It's so much fun having people like eviscerated on page. I swear I'm like a sane individual, I swear. This was really fun, and I really liked how our main character, Cass, he does have like the psychic abilities. He's really like entrenched in the supernatural world. He also has his own way of dealing with the dead, and it has its own kind of spin on this paranormal world. You know, he has this knife that's connected to these things. It's a lot more about like fighting evil than putting them to rest. This was so much fun. I loved all the characters in this, and this wasn't he's not filming this, you know, he's not making a paranormal show, he's just doing his job. It's very much like a Supernatural, like the TV show Supernatural. It's that for teens. Seriously, highly recommend this book. More people need to read it. It's great. Then we'll go to the more paranormal investigations. So this is The Screaming Staircase, which is the first in the Lockwood & Co series by Jonathan Stroud. This is a middle grade paranormal series, and it's so good. This was much darker than I expected it to be for a middle grade. Paranormal things are known in this society, and there are agencies filled with kind of like soldiers or investigators that go around dealing with these incidences. And so Lockwood has his own agency, and he has 2 investigators with him, and they go around hunting the ghosts, getting rid of the ghosts, and some demonic entity type things as well. This is very paranormal investigation. They read about the lore, they read about the history of the place where they're going to, try and find out who might be haunting a place and why they're haunting it, which is always super interesting. And they have a lot of devices for capturing the ghosts. And once again, there are weapons involved in dealing with these ghosts. So they have sabers, potentially sabers, I'm not sure. They have some type of sword, and they use that to defeat the ghosts or distract the ghosts, what have you. This was just a really fun and interesting take on paranormal investigation, especially where, you know, the paranormal unknown, it's a thing, this is a legitimate job that these people have. It was cool to see the backstory behind hauntings, because that's also something I really love, is like, what happened to these people that made them a ghost, you know? And we get that with Lockwood & Co. Again, highly recommend. This is great. Very spooky. There's also a Netflix show that covers the first 2 books of this series, so... Okay, now going on to the more paranormal investigation show. So for that, I have Specter Inspectors by Bowen McCurdy and Caitlin Musto. This is a graphic novel, and it's got some really good art. I like the art style in this, but this is a bunch of kids making a YouTube. They are paranormal investigators, you know, so we've got like the guy carrying the camera, and like that's always a really cool thing for me, is the camera person, because they see things that other people don't see, and it's interesting to get like their points of view sometimes. But in this one, this group is investigating a particular manor. They've heard about the hauntings there, they're going there to investigate, and they've been like hired to do this by someone, and someone gets possessed, and then they have to deal with that. And that was super interesting, to have someone be possessed by the thing that they were hunting. So that was really interesting. Gotta say, this is also queer. We have a female-female relationship and a non-binary side main character. So this is really good when we do get some of the backstory again, like they are researching why this place is haunted. We also get, you know, filming setup, planning on, you know, what's going to be filmed, those types of things. And then there is some of the like mystical aspects of the hauntings where, you know, there's a possession, there is occult magic happening. But this is really good for that paranormal investigation show vibe. I really loved it. I do recommend. It's really cool. Now on to the books that I recently read that were paranormal investigations. So the first one I read was episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. This was one of my most hyped books of 2023. Because paranormal investigation, it's so good. The way I can describe episode 13 is it really is like a found footage horror film, because it is told in journal entries, emails, transcripts of video footage that was found, but it's never told from any of the characters' internal thoughts. It's all that mixed media thing. I don't know the right words, but you know. And this is about a team of investigators who have a YouTube show that they are trying to market towards like traditional TV and producers and all those things. So they go to one of the most haunted places that they know of and investigate. So what's really cool about this one is it is a full-on paranormal TV show. So you really get that setting up the cameras, setting up all the equipment, using equipment frequently to try and figure out what's happening. You get some of the like when they're playing to the camera, so that was really cool. Like you also have like the slow moments that are in paranormal TV shows that like you don't see, where it's just a lot of waiting around for things to happen. You also get a lot of research done into this place, because there's a whole backstory into why this place is now really haunted. There was some scientific things happening, like science experiments on people, which isn't great, but it happened. And there is some cult-ish things also happening. And there are a lot of files left at this place, so we get some of the characters going through all of the files to figure out what's happening. We also get a believer and a skeptic like working together. They are a husband and wife duo. The husband is the believer, the wife is the skeptic. And it was really interesting to see them play off of each other, and her trying to like rationalize everything they're hearing and seeing, and him being like, it's supernatural. That was really, really interesting, and I did enjoy that. Towards the end, this kind of went like a totally different direction than most paranormal books that I've read. You weren't really sure what was reality anymore, like, which was interesting for sure. So they were going through this whole thing. The more you get towards the end, the more you're on some kind of high trying to read a book, because it was interesting towards the end. But it was very interesting, and it was cool to see there was like an aftermath where, you know, you see all of these like news articles of what happened to this team, because this team never made it out either. It's like, no one's making it out of this place. And so you got to see like the aftermath of that, and some wild things were happening in that place. But the investigation part of it was really cool. And again, we got to see the camera person's point of view. It's hard to explain, but it was a really good time. So I bet you can guess then what my least favourite book of this stack is gonna be. Horror Hotel by Victoria Fulton and Faith McLaren. I've been saying to some people, if this isn't my #1 worst book of the year, I'm gonna riot, because this was awful. So this was a paranormal investigation show. There are a team of teenagers that have a YouTube channel, and they go to this particular hotel that was really, really haunted. It's like their Halloween special. They're trying to make it big by going to this place. And one of the characters is a psychic, so she can see the dead. This sounded like it would be good, and it wasn't. This is dedicated to Elisa Lam, who, if you don't know about the Cecil Hotel and Elisa Lam, go look into it. But basically, a few years ago, a woman went to a hotel called the Cecil Hotel, and she tragically lost her life at that hotel and was found in the water tank of the hotel on the roof. And there was some footage released of her in an elevator, not in her right mind, and people have speculated that she was talking to ghosts, or she was possessed, or these types of things. So this book is dedicated to her, but it is basically ripping off her story. So we have the hotel that was very haunted. We have a ghost that, her name was Aileen, so like starts with an E as well, who was killed in an elevator, and there was footage released of her in an elevator pressing certain buttons. We have them going to the roof, like the roof plays an important part in this, and we have a notorious serial killer who stayed at the hotel as well. The name is basically ripped off. This was like the street stalker, whereas in real life it was the night stalker. Like, it's just so much is taken from the Elisa Lam story, and like, you think it would be interesting, but it's not. Biggest gripe I have with this is that these teenagers are idiots. Full on idiots. I was so mad at like everything they were doing. One of these characters, his whole goal is to get their subscriber count to 1 million subscribers. That's all he cares about. And it's all he thinks about, unless he's thinking about the psychic on his team, because he has a crush on her. And it's just, I don't need to know how her lips look or how she smells every time it's your point of view. Then we get the psychic, who switches personality left and right, and she gets really annoying when like she's making the wrong decision. She will double down on that stuff and be like, this is the right decision no matter what, even though it's completely stupid. And then she's constantly thinking about the other guy on the team, and what his lips look like, and what his eyelashes look like, and how he fits in his shirt. Why do we care? And so they're in this hotel, and they're staying in like a backpackers type of thing, and so there is someone else in the room with them, and that happens to be an Australian. Hi. But, oh, this Australian, he's so attractive and mysterious, and it's like, this psychic becomes a completely different person around this guy. You know, she's talking about, again, his lips, his hair, his eyelashes, how he smells, how he smiles. I'm like, I don't care. She just gives up information to this guy constantly that go against everything that this little group has talked about. You know, they're like, you know, don't tell people exactly what we're doing, and don't ever go off alone. And she constantly does that. Whatever. And then they find a dead body. And one of them is like, oh my god, let's call the police. And she's my favourite, the rational one. I like her. But the guy that just wants all the views, he keeps filming this dead body. Totally disrespectfully. Just like, keeps filming the dead body constantly. And is like, oh, we could spin this to get some more views. You're going to exploit a dead woman to get views on YouTube. And then the psychic is also kind of thinking the same thing. She's like, oh, we could solve this murder. You are a bunch of teenagers. Go back to school. It was super annoying, but they don't call the cops because of course they don't. They keep making awful decisions. And then another body turns up. And you know what they do? They say, oh, we can't leave this body for someone else to find, so let's move it. I'm sorry, what? So they move a dead body. They are now accessories to murder. They are going to jail. They're idiots. They keep saying that like, oh, because this hotel is in like the bad part of town, that the police aren't gonna do their job. So let's a bunch of teenagers who have no experience in this solve a murder. They're idiots. Such idiots. And still, like they have seen 2 dead bodies. Like these are the first dead bodies they are ever legitimately seeing. And like that's traumatizing. But they're like, look how hot that person is. They're also really hot. Wow, I hope he's texted me. Oh no, like he's acting really jealous. Like, oh, that's not good. And oh, I'm having all these emotions. And I'm like, you have just seen 2 dead bodies. You have literally picked up a dead body at this point. Why do you care if someone has texted you back? I want to rage so much about this, but a lot of my thoughts and feelings have already been like let out because I was reading this when Max was at my house and every 15 minutes I was like, Max, I'm going to murder these people because they're idiots. They're just such idiots. And like, and it's fun. It was fun reading this because they were idiots. But then towards the end, like the last about 60 pages were really boring. Like I didn't care anymore and it wasn't funny. Like, because it's bad, so it's so bad it's funny. And it wasn't that anymore, it was just boring. And like you could tell who the murderer was from a mile away. It's just, it was so obvious, like you couldn't not see it. There was one little twist about who this murderer was and how they were connected earlier in the story that I was like, oh, I didn't put that together. That's really good. That was it. The rest of this was just awful. So there is a queer relationship in this, a female-female relationship, which is really cute. It's good. I like that. That was also kind of the only thing I liked. But they just, in the epilogue, they're all like, the group is like dating. So we've got the psychic and the guy that wants all the subscribers, they're dating. And the 2 other girls on the group, they're dating. Cool, whatever. They are still constantly thinking about subscribers. I'm like, you've been through a traumatic experience and still all you care about is subscribers? Like, why? It was stupid and I didn't like it, and this was an awful book. Do not pick this up, despite the pretty cover. Like, that cover is everything. The book is nothing. The book sucks. But that was the wide variety of some paranormal investigation books that I have read. Some I've loved, some I hate with a passion. But if you know of any more paranormal investigation books, please let me know. I do really want to read them. And let me know if you also like paranormal investigation books, because like, let's be buddies. Let me know if you've also experienced the worst book in your favourite trope, because something about that is just like, it's so wrong, you know? It's like, it's your favourite trope, you should love it. Why is it awful? Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.